In the late 1950s and early 1960s, the use of thalidomide in 46 countries by women who were pregnant resulted in the biggest man-made medical disaster ever, with more than 10,000 children born with severe deformities as well as thousands of miscarriages. Thalidomide was first introduced in 1953 as a sedative and was later marketed as Contergan by the German pharmaceutical company Chemie Grünenthal as a treatment for anxiety and morning sickness. Thalidomide was first developed as a tranquilizer by the Swiss pharmaceutical company Ciba, and in 1954, Ciba abandoned the product, and then it was acquired by Chemie Grünenthal. The company had been established by Hermann Wirtz, a Nazi Party member, after World War II as a subsidiary of the families Maurer and Wirtz. The company's initial aim was to develop antibiotics for which there was an urgent market need. Wirtz appointed chemist Heinrich Muchter, who had escaped prosecution for war crimes for his experiments on prisoners in Nazi concentration camps, to head the development program because of his experience of research and producing an anti-typhus vaccine for Nazi Germany. He also hired Martin Stemmler, a medical doctor and leading proponent of the Nazi eugenics program, as head of pathology, as well as Heinz Baumkotter, the chief medical officer at the Sachsenhausen concentration camp, and Otto Ambros, a chemist and a Nazi war criminal. Ambros was the chairman of Grünenthal's advisory committee during the development of thalidomide and was a board member when Contergan was being sold. In the USA, the FDA refused approval to market thalidomide, saying further studies were needed. The refusal was largely due to pharmacologist Francis Oldham Kelsey, who withstood pressure from the Richardson Merrill Pharmaceuticals Company. Although thalidomide was not approved for sale in the United States at the time, over 2.5 million tablets had been distributed to over 1,000 physicians during a clinical testing program. It is estimated that nearly 20,000 patients, several hundred of whom were pregnant women, were given the drug to help alleviate morning sickness or as a sedative, and at least 17 children were consequently born in the United States with thalidomide-associated deformities. In the United Kingdom, the drug was licensed in 1958 and withdrawn in 1961. Of the approximately 2,000 babies born with defects, around half died within a few months, and 466 survived until at least 2010. In 1968, after a long campaign by the Sunday Times, a compensation settlement for the UK victims was reached with Distillers Company, which had distributed the drug in the United Kingdom. In East Germany, thalidomide was rejected by the Central Committee of Experts for the Drug Traffic in the GDR, and was never approved for use. Because they acted quickly, there are no known thalidomide babies born in East Germany. Meanwhile, in West Germany, it took some time before the increase in dysmelia at the end of the 1950s was connected with thalidomide. In 1958, Karl Beck, a former pediatric doctor in Bayreuth, wrote an article in a local newspaper claiming a relationship between nuclear weapons testing and cases of dysmelia in children. Based on this, Erich Mend requested an official statement from the federal government. The parliamentary report rejected any relation between radioactivity and the abnormal increase of dysmelia. Furthermore, it took a while to appoint a Surgeon General in Germany. The Federal Ministry of Health was not founded until 1962, some months after thalidomide was banned from the market. In West Germany, approximately 2,500 babies were born with birth defects from thalidomide, and no one was held accountable for the disaster at that time. In 1968, a large criminal trial began in Germany, charging several Grünenthal officials with negligence and homicide. After Grünenthal settled with the victims in April 1970, the trial ended in December 1970 with no finding of guilt. But as part of the settlement, Grünenthal paid about $56 million into a special foundation, and also the German government added about $178 million. The foundation also paid the victims a one-time sum of up to $14,000, depending on severity of disability, and a monthly stipend of up to $250. The monthly stipends have since been raised substantially and are now paid entirely by the government, as the foundation claimed they had run out of money. On August 31, 2012, Grünenthal Chief Executive Harold Stock, who served as the Chief Executive Officer of Grünenthal, finally apologized for the first time for producing the drug and remained silent about the birth defects. At the ceremony, Stock unveiled a statue of a disabled child to symbolize those harmed by thalidomide and apologized for not trying to reach out to victims for over 50 years. At the time of the apology, there were between 5,000 and 6,000 people still living with thalidomide-related birth defects. Victim advocates called the apology insulting and too little too late, and criticized the company for not compensating the victims enough.